Hey everybody, this is Ray Fowler. I'm the lead developer for Remnants of the Precursors. We have an alpha that's about to come out, so I'm going to make a video here to help everybody know what to do when it comes out, where to find it, etc. So we're going to do three things here. We're going to go over sources of information about the game, where you can find it, the best way to follow. We're going to do a quick run through of the game so everyone can see the new features, and if you're not familiar with the game, you can get an idea of what it's about. And then finally we're going to do some things from the Linux command line, so if anybody who has a Raspberry Pi, if they want to try to fire up the game, hopefully we can demonstrate that it'll work there. So let's get started. This is the blog, the dev blog that I've been updating for about 2 years. It's remnantsoftheprecursors.com, and about once a week or so I'll put some post up here, and the last post I have up here is entitled Looking Ahead, where I'm already talking about what's coming up in the next alpha. It's just started underway. There's some important links here on the top left. The first one is the state of the game. It's a post I put out there last November, and I update it regularly so you can see what's coming up. There's times like when things were completed, what's currently in progress. So if you want to kind of follow the game or get an idea of how long some of the items take, this is a good place to check. Another one is the Remnants subreddit. It's /ROTP. This is not really that active. I kind of felt like cross-posting here all the time was unnecessary. But what it will be used for is for people who are alpha testing, if they want to report any bugs or anything like this, this will be the place to go. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got the Twitter feed. It's Pretend Studios, because I am a Pretend studio. This has a lot of little snippy comments, more frequently than the blog. So you can also follow this if you want to keep up to date with the latest information on the game. Let's see, I have a YouTube channel. And if you click on the videos, this is not really a well-made YouTube channel. I'm not PewDiePie. So it's a list of all the videos that have been here before, so this is a good way to see maybe where the game was, and this video will be here also. Let's see, and the last thing I believe is the writer Jeff Colucci, for the writer for the project, has a Twitch stream where occasionally he does some writing and he streams it live. So if that's interesting to you, then it's interesting to me, but I like to see what he's doing. But that's a good place to go if you want to see what's going on with the game. Okay, let's fire up the game now. I've got a jar file. The game will be delivered as a jar file, so you'll need Java 8 installed on your computer. Java 8 will run on Windows, Linux, and Mac systems. So just get the Java 8 runtime environment, and you can just double-click on this guy, and the game will fire up. Here, I'm going to turn off the music here, just so I don't have to talk over it. I've got a game that I had in progress that I'm going to load up. It'll cover some things here. Oh, well, let me show you. This is the opening screen. We're in the midst of a revamp of all the UIs, so a lot of the screens, especially the early ones, are going to change. And as I show some of the screens here, I'll let you know which ones have already been revamped and which ones haven't. It'll be pretty obvious though. So this is the load screen. Has not been revamped. This is the main screen that you come onto when you start the game. It's very similar to the original Master of Orion. You've got the map here. You've got your highlighted system or fleet here, so you can hover over things too and select things. And you've got an array of other screens you can go to along the bottom, and of course the next turn. So let's go over that real quick. One of the screens that's been revamped is the colony screen, and this is a listing of all your colonies for your empire. So it's sortable by the columns. This is obviously wasn't in the original Master of Orion. You've got different views based upon what kind of information you want out of the colony. As you select on the colony, you can come over here and update it from this list. You don't have to do it from the main screen. If you want to transfer money from your reserve fund, you can click on this button and this will come up and you can transfer money into a colony. That'll speed up its growth. Let's see. Let's go to, here's the ship design UI. This is the old one, so this gives you an idea of what the old one looks like. It's laid out very much like the original Master of Orion. So you can see there's like 6 designs. That's the limit. This little number here tells you how many of each ship you have built. So we've got 8 scouts, 15 prime ships. This is the fighter. He's got 5 lasers on him. And we've got a couple of colony ships in flight. So the reason I'm showing you that, oh, let me show you. So like the colony ship is called Parallax, the fighter is called Prime, and the scout ship is called Scout. So if I go to the new redesigned fleet UI, this is really cool. This was not in the original game, and it's really neat. So what you can do here is you can do a lot of mass changes to your fleet. For example, I can select all my fleets, and I can say, go to this system. I deploy, and go here. And if I do that and hit deploy, they'll all be routed to that system. For example, like this. Now they're all going there. So think about what that means. If you have like a really large map, let's say you're playing a ridiculously sized map, like 1,000 stars or 5,000 stars, and you've got like 100 or 150 colonies, and you've got fleets spread out all over the galaxy, and you want to round them up and send them to one place. This is a great UI to do it because you do it in mass. You don't select the fleets individually. You actually use this query here. So for example, in fact, let me reload this game just so you can see before I had redirected them. So we go over here. So we've got these fleets here. So I can select these fleets individually, right? The ones that are not in flight, obviously if they're in flight. So I can say, oh, I want these 3 ships to go over here. I can deploy those, right? Or let me cancel. I can deselect them all, and I can say, I only want my prime ships. That's my fighter. I want those. So if I pick those here, pick just the prime, and now if I deploy, it's not all the ships. It's only the prime ships. So the colony ships and the scout ships will not go over there. So that's what you can do with mass deployment of fleets. You can also do something like this. You can say, I want to select all my systems, and I want to set a rally point to right here. So now what this does, let me double click on that. There we go. Start rallying. So now what happens is, let's say once again you've got a large map and you've got rally points set up to go to different places, and you've decided, oh, my front line is moved and I want to change my rally point to go to somewhere else. You can pick all those systems with rally points and say point here. And if, let's say you have 15 systems with rally points and you don't want to hand select them, what you can do is you can click on this little, maybe it's hard to see, but it's a little filter that says system has rally point, and when you click it, every system that has a rally point is now selected. Right. So let me. So then you can say, oh, I want to reroute these over here, or something like that. And you also have these other filters, like if the system is ultra rich, you can click on that. I don't have any, but you can also, if you hover over the filter, if it's highlighted, you can change it. Like maybe you don't want an ultra rich. If you click it, it says if it's rich or ultra rich. If you click it again, it says if it's poor or ultra poor, or if it's ultra poor. So all of these filters can toggle between, like, has a Stargate, does not have a Stargate, is sending transport, is not sending transports. And you can also filter by what they're building. You can say, let's say everybody that's building a scout, that's these 2 guys, I want you to now build prime, right? So think about that. So let's say you've got like a cool fighter ship you're building, but you've got some new technology, you've upgraded it, and you've got like 15 systems that are that you're building the ship, but you don't remember exactly which ones they are. You can go to this system and say, select all the systems that are building my first scout design, and it'll select them, and then you just change the ship construction to that guy. So you can change your ship construction in mass. And you can also, so you can change your ship construction, you can set rally points, and you can also send transports. Let's say, I want to attack this guy, so I can say send transports to this guy here, right? Yeah, hover over and clicking. say deploy transports, and now I've got this guy saying I want to send all these systems, all these transports here, so I can send like 53 transports to this enemy system, right? But it says arrival 3 to 7 years. Well, what if I don't want them to arrive at different times? What if I don't want them to be staggered? I can click on this sync button here, and they'll all arrive at the same time. Now if I say, oh, well, 7 is too long, let's take him out of the list. They'll say, okay, they're going to send 40 guys and they'll arrive in 5 years. So you've got this really neat user interface where you can mass send transports from multiple systems to another system, and you can sync up their arrival times if you want. For example, if you're attacking an enemy system, you probably want to sync up the arrival times. But if you're sending to a friendly system, you just want them to get there as fast as possible. So there's a few other screens, like there's this races UI, where you can see all the different races you are in contact with, like the Silicoid Empire, the Wilrathi Empire. This is the old style. This is eventually going to get redone. This is actually a really cool UI because it has a lot of information on it. Like, this is like all their technologies that your spies have found out about them. You know, this one here is white, so this means that I could potentially steal this from the Silicoids. This is your military knowledge, like all of their ship designs you've seen. Right? So sometimes they're unscanned, but sometimes you know a lot about them. It tells you how many ships they have. This is where they're at on the actual the galaxy map. And then status is like a relative strength against each race. Right? So like, oh, look, you know, how well are you doing against each one? If you want to compare them all together in the old pie chart, you click on your race, and you can see all these different categories for each race. This is a lot of information. I'm sorry. I feel like I cover it every time, and for that I apologize. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go through a few turns of this game, and I picked this game at this point because some interesting things happen. I mean, not great, but you can see different parts of the UI interacting. So let's just hit next turn. So like this is the pop-up here when you've completed building a ship. So we built a parallax on the system. Now it's asking if we want to enter combat with the Wilrathis. This is totally a temporary screen. There is no tactical ship combat in the game. So anytime ship combat comes up, you're given the opportunity to enter combat and let the AI take over for you, or you can say, no, I want to retreat. The next alpha will actually have tactical ship combat. So this screen won't be here. It'll be a more traditional Master of Orion 1 screen where you actually have ships and you can have them fight or whatever. So we're just going to skip combat. Okay, so here's this is the prompt to bombard an enemy planet because we have a fleet around this planet. So we're just going to go ahead and bombard. But I think the ships really can't do much damage. They're the ones with lasers, so they're not going to do any damage. Here's the sabotage GUI. This is the old style. This will get reworked. So we've basically got one of our spies is set to sabotage, and he's infiltrated the system. So we can pick which one of these guys in the Darlock colonies and sabotage it. And your options vary based on what you can do. So we're going to destroy some factories here, and that's it. Now the Darlocks are angry with us because we bombed them. And the Silicoids are mad at us because we tried to bomb their planet. And I think the Wilrathi must have caught one of our spies. Okay, so this is the spending adjustments dialog. What's happened here is it says Mintar has reached its population maximum of 100 colonists. So it's giving you an opportunity every time you reach the limit of one of your spending categories on a colony. It'll actually prompt you and let you change it. But what he does is he tries to, you know, do something smart, right? He won't change your ship spending or your defense spending, but if you were spending a lot in industry or ecology and you're done, he'll move it over into research, and then you can come over here and you can say, no, I want to spend more on ships or whatever. If you have multiple systems that hit their limits at the same time, there will be like next and previous buttons, and you can zip back and forth through them, and then when you're done, you just hit the finish. This is one of the beautiful UI enhancements from the original Master of Orion, because it allowed you to kind of let your colonies go autopilot, but then when you needed to make a decision, it would come up and say, hey, you know, you need to take care of this. So we're going to just go through a few more turns. I'm going to skip these combats. I'm not going to bombard anymore. I already did that. So let's incite some rebellion here. Right, so we're inciting five rebels. Like, now they're really mad. So if we go over here to the Darlocks, see, these are their diplomatic events. They capture one of our spies in 475. That's the current year. We destroyed some of their factories the last 2 years, so that's why they're upset with us. The Borathi were upset because they caught one of our spies, and so that was like a minus 19 to our relations with them. So that might tell you, hey, you know, if you want to be on good terms with the Borathi, maybe we shouldn't be, you know, sending spies against them. And you'll notice here on the Darlocks, it doesn't give you that information. This is intentional, so you don't know what your relations are with the Darlocks. You don't know how these events are affecting them. That's just because the Darlocks are just very secretive, and that's intentional. That's kind of one of their racial characteristics. That's not in the original game. It's not a game mechanic change at all. It's just obscuring a little information from the player for the purpose of immersion and for the race. The underlying mechanics of the Darlocks has not changed. Let's see. Do we have a tech that's about to finish? Oh, propulsion is about to finish here. This is the old tech research screen. This is going to get changed for the next alpha too. So when you play this alpha, you're going to see this mix up between the new and the old, and you're just going to have to forgive me because it's all a work in progress right now. So let's hit next turn. We built another ship. No, we're not going to bomb. Let's see if we can destroy some missile bases somewhere. Does anybody have any missile bases to destroy? I just want to show you that graphic, that's all. Oh, here we go, missile bases. So this is the missile base. These are actually placeholder graphics. So those are going to get replaced at some point, but I'm not too worried about it right now. Okay, so we're going to build a colony. We have a colony ship that's arrived, so we're going to do that. So you can see what that looks like. There's the Cylon ship dropping down. The animations in the game are still pretty jumpy. There's actually been very little attempt to optimize the animations right now. There's been so much other work done in the game. But if you think an animation is kind of jumpy and you want to report it, if it looks bad, that's fine. But keep in mind that they are going to get an overhaul at some point. I just haven't had time to work with it. So, we've got an alert down here. Occasionally you'll get these. You don't have to click on them or go through them. If you hit next turn, it'll go away. But it says, we've captured a spy from the Silicoid Empire, right? So we know that they're committing espionage on us, or attempting espionage. So I did want to pop up a screen and say, hey, look, because then it messes up the flow of the game. So it's down here as an alert. And if there's multiple alerts, it'll say like 1 of 2, and you can click on it, and the next one will show up. Or if you don't click on it and just hit next turn, it'll go away. Okay, so this is the Cylon GNN screen. Every race has its own GNN. So you can see this looks a lot like the Cylons. He's got a big brainy head. He's got 4 arms. And you can kind of see how the new look for the GNN screens are. All the GNN artwork is new for this alpha. None of this was in the previous alpha. We had placeholder graphics from the original game. We're going to skip combat here. I think, yeah. Here's the Alkari wanting to set up a trade treaty, so let's do that. Continue. They're really mad at us. So we can zoom out. By the way, the mouse wheel works great. You can mouse wheel the maps. Anywhere where you have like repetitive clicking as a possibility, I'm really big on using the mouse wheel. So like all the slider bars here. See, like this. Slider bars here, you can mouse wheel. It is a lifesaver. I think if we go to intelligence, this slider bar here, and for the spies, this is here. If you go to ship design and you let's say you want to pick this guy and get rid of him and put some weapons on him. Let's say 26 lasers. So I can come over here and mouse wheel even the lasers here, because honestly it's just really annoying to click repetitively. So anywhere where there's a lot of repetitive clicks, I've tried to make it mouse wheel capable. And of course, anywhere where you expect to see scrolling, you can always mouse wheel that too. Oh, here's another one, see? So it's amazing. Even here, the ships you're building, this is a mouse wheel. If you see, when you hover your mouse over something, if it goes yellow, that means you could click it or do something, right? That's like the standards. So you can click these tabs. That's an attempt to standardize the looks. Gives the player an indication that a widget is live, so to speak, so he can do things. On the map, we've got these grid options too, which are cool. Let's see, come on here. You got the circular one, which gives you distance from a particular selected point, and then you get this one here. These squares are light years across. And then there's some things you can turn off. For example, I should have shown these map options earlier. You can turn off the empire display. You can the ships has 3 options. Like the default is showing the ships with their transit lines if you know them. If you don't know a ship's transit line, then it won't show it, obviously. If you click this, it'll turn off the transit lines, which can be really useful because sometimes if you get a million ships out there going around, and then if you do it again, it'll turn off the ships completely, and clicking it and it goes back, right? So for example, like if you hover on a transit line, it'll select the ship for the transit line, which is really good because if you're down in here, let's say this is a really big map and you've got a line going all the way across, you can like hover over these guys. Well, those are actually relocation lines. Like if I don't know what ship that is, I can hover over this line and it'll, I can see it. If you have an enemy ship coming towards your system, this line will be red. So when you see red lines, those are things you should be reacting to also. So let me see what else I can do here. I know I'm talking really fast, that's just my nature. Play the YouTube video at slow speed and you might be able to understand me. Oh, look, I'm destroying more factories. I'm trying to get to the Galactic Council meeting, which is like 5 turns away. Oh, good. So here's interesting. This is interesting to talk about. The Barathi here, they want to trade me Class 2 deflector shields for improved eco restoration. Now, one thing I've really worked on with the AI is to make them reasonable with regards to trades. I know a lot of games, every time you want to trade with the AI, they're trying to take you to the cleaners, right? Because the developer is trying to figure out a way to make the AI better. So they always, if you want something from the AI, they ask for an awful lot. The way it works here is the AI has an evaluation of how important a technology is to him and how important he thinks the technologies he has is worth. And he looks at that, and then if he's asking to make a trade, in other words, if he's coming to you, he's going to give you a little bit better deal, right? But if you're going to him, he's going to expect a little bit more because it's the person who initiates the trade is always at a disadvantage. So when they offer you a trade, you should probably look at it because it might be a pretty good deal. Sometimes it's not. It just depends on what technologies you have and what you want. But the other thing is if you refuse the trade, for example, if we say no, we don't want to take Class 2 deflector shields for improved echo restoration, he'll remember that and he'll never make that offer again. Now he may get like another technology and say, oh, how do you want this technology for improved echo restoration? But he'll never ask you for this again. If you say forget it and then later on you change your mind and you say, I think I really would have liked to have had that technology, you're going to have to go to him and ask him. I mean, you can still make the trade, possibly, but you have to go to him. So if you say forget it, he's going to forget it, right? He's not going to ask you again. And the reason that's in the game is because it's always a battle when you're writing code for the AI, especially on diplomatic side. It's a real battle to find some balance where the AI is coming to you when it's important, but he's not coming to you so much that it's annoying the hell out of you. And I'm still struggling to try to get this at a good balance. Well, we're going to make this trade here. He's like, hey, thank you very much. So there's our tech discovery screen. Now, right here in this blank spot, right here, I want to put my finger there, right here, there's eventually going to be like a graphical icon representing the shield technology, right? A lot of games do that. We don't have the artwork done. There's just so much artwork to do, but that is hopefully going to happen in the next alpha. I said that last time, but maybe it'll be in this one. So now we select which. Oh, that's interesting. So we were actually studying that technology. So let's start researching personal deflector shield. And okay. Let's go here. I'm just killing time now until I get to the Galactic Council. I think it takes 5 turns from the notice. So this is because I have my spy set on sabotage. I probably should turn it off. Let me go do that. Otherwise, I'm going to keep getting interrupted by this. Oh, now, see? The Silicoid wants the Class 2 deflector shields. So they're willing to give us Battle Computer Mark III. So think about that. By making that trade, I'm actually getting 2 techs for my original technology. So yes, I'm going to do that. I'm going to wheel and deal. It's going. I'm feeling pretty good about that. And we just learned fuel cells. That's a scientists have achieved a propulsion breakthrough. Sweet. And there's the battle computer technology we just traded for. So let's go for nuclear engines. Let me go turn off that sabotage. Where's that at? Just hide. I don't care. Now, normally when you're playing this game in turn-based, you're going through all these options and you're saying, okay, what I want to do for each race, who's going to be my friend, who's going to be my enemy. But what I did was I started up a game and I let the AI play it for me for about 50 turns. I'm not exactly sure how many turns, until I got to a good point and I said, okay, I can use this to now do this demo. Let's see, if I click on the year, I'm on turn 64, so it's a little over 50 turns. And we just learned another technology. Let's switch over to this guy. Here we go. Okay. This is the Galactic Council screen. Just like the GNN, every race has their own artwork. So this is what the Cylon artwork looks like. And there's lore created behind the Cylon. So they're like they have like a republic. So, and they have a large senate. And so this image is supposed to indicate that, right? So like other races, the image will look completely different based upon, you know, their racial style. And of course, the reason we do that, and the reason that the game is taking so much longer because we're doing this, is we're trying to create a very high level of immersion for each race, so that when you're playing the Cylons versus the Sacra versus the Silicoids versus the Bolrothi, it actually feels different. It's not just, you know, different racial bonuses, but there's actually a lot of like lore and text and, you know, immersion in the game. So let's see, the Cylon Emperor and the Sacra Emperor are so good. So we're going to vote for us. That is the Cylon Diplomat, by the way. And then we're just going to go through everyone else's votes. And this screen is not redone, although the artwork is new. This text layout and stuff is very similar to the original game and has not been redone yet. So we're just going to acknowledge everyone's votes. Ooh, 14. The Darlogs. I could have won. I was so close. They're not going to give away the game this early, right? I mean, one thing that's different about Remnants versus the original Master of Orion, in the original game, the player always voted last, whether he had the fewest votes or the most votes, which is really a lot of leverage, because when you vote last, you can swing the election or prevent it, right? And so even if you're one of the top vote getters, like if you're in the running for it and you vote last, you can throw the election against yourself. But here in this game, everyone votes in the order of their vote total. So if you're the number one guy, you have to vote first. You don't get to play this game where you swing the election. Only the little guys get to do that. So apparently we were not in contact with the Sakura. So if you were not in contact with a race before the council, you automatically make contact at the end. So the Sakura and the Meglar. The Galactic Council is triggered once 2/3 of the galaxy has been colonized. That's going to have to change for the giant maps. I mean, if 2/3 of the galaxy is colonized, and let's say you have 100 empires, are you going to click through like 100 votes? I mean, that would be kind of ridiculous. So if we go over here now, we can see the Sakura and the Darlac. And it also tells you who they voted for last, right? So these images are out of line. That's because this screen has gone through some rework. This is not the final version of the screen. If you want to talk to somebody, you can just click on the audience button here. So I'm going to talk to the Sakura. Hey, greetings. I'm going to ask to form a trade agreement. Let's go big, 175. Yay, so now we have trade with the Sakura. So I'm going to goodbye. You can declare war. You can do all the other kinds of things. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to go through for the playthrough. This gives you an idea of what the game looks like. You've seen the new screens. You've seen most of the old screens. We're going to, what was I going to do next? Oh, I'm going to show you how to play this game via the command line. So let's shrink this down. So I've got this folder here where I put the Remnants jar in, and there's no installation wizard. You just plop the jar file in whatever folder you want to put it in, and all the saved game files that are called ROTP, they will automatically be created in that folder, or in the same folder that the jar is at. And the recent ROTP is this guy. If you come up here, I'm going to start it back up, turn the music off again, and you say load the recent autosave, that's that recent ROTP. So if you delete this file, you won't get this recent autosave option. Okay, so the other thing I was going to show you, for people who, mostly I guess for Mac and for Linux users, I'm sure you can do this on Windows with batch files. I didn't want to jack with it. So it's a jar file, right? So you can do like a Java, I've got the font turned up really big so you can see it, java-jar, and that's right. And if I hit enter, it starts up the game. You can actually see the logging, and here's the game, right? What's really cool though, obviously, is I've got these scripts set up there, these shell scripts. So let me show you what one of these looks like here. This is for the programmers. It's basically just a one-line file. There's a java-jar, but it specifies the maximum amount of memory I want the game to have used to. Right. So let's say, let me show you. Okay, this will be cool. If I start up the file just by clicking on the jar, it allocates a certain amount of memory based upon how much heap memory the operating system gives it. And if I click on this memory use thing, it looks like I've got about 3.5 gigs, this little on the bottom right here. This is how much it's currently using, this is how much has been allocated to it, and this is the maximum that the system will allocate to it. So 3.5 gigs. So if I were to come over here and create like the biggest possible system with 3.5 gigs, I can make a system with 1 million stars. It'll work. Let me show you. So remember when I was doing 50,000 stars, a video a while back, and it took like 30 seconds? I'm guessing maybe this takes about 30 seconds too. I think this is slowed down a little bit because of the video capture stuff. But we're going to just fire up 1 million here, just so you can see what this looks like. Here we go. So I don't know, I didn't look at the clock. It felt like about 40 seconds. It's definitely slower though because of the video capture software. Probably about twice as slow. So what's 1 million stars look like? If I zoom out, look at that. Yeehaw. Look at that. This is just, that's ridiculous, right? No one will ever play this. I got a nice big cube for a galaxy here, or a rectangle, because I didn't pick the oval. So yeah, this is ridiculous. So also, this is something I forgot to mention. See this guy here on the bottom left? This is your advisor, and at certain points in the game, certain important points where you need to maybe think about doing something different, this guy will pop up and give you some advice. So at the start of the game, he comes up and he basically is letting you know, hey, you might be new to the game. This would be a good time for you to send out your scouts and find a good place for a colony ship. But one thing we're doing is we're trying to make even the advisor text race specific so that it feels immersive. So let me start with a smaller game because I want to show the example of this. So when we start this game here, dang it, I double clicked. I think I did. Here we go. I did double click. So it says the Silicoid Imperium. It tells you what year it is, and there's this gives you like some intro into the race, you know, about what motivates the race, who you are, how important you are, and all of the races have their own little text. So then this advisor says, hey, he calls you God Emperor because for the Silicoids, the leader is considered like a god to them, and so it's always very race specific. What I want to do now, though, I want to get back to the command line. Let me show you, if I allocate only half a gig, this is my attempt for you Raspberry Pi owners to see how well the game will run under the same memory constraints as the Pi Zero, which is a half a gig. Because the goal, the target audience for this game ultimately are Pi users. I want this game to be able to run on small systems. So now we're running, we've only got 455 megs allocated, so less than half a gig. So if I create a new game, this is pretty awesome, guys. Keep in mind I've only got half a gig. Let's create like a, oops, I'm going to go to ellipse. Look how big this galaxy can get with half a gig. I'm saying 76,000 stars. We can do that. Click. See how fast that was? It's just so stupid. It's so crazy fast now. It's not even funny. So you have a totally different intro for the Sacra. So the writer has really done a lot of work with trying to match the race's in-game behavior with the lore he writes. So for example, the Sacra are like planetology. They're big on planetology research, and they're also aggressive with other races. So basically, they're like angry environmentalists. So, you know, maybe Greenpeace. They're the closest thing to Greenpeace in the galaxy, right? They want to take over your planet because they think you're not developing it properly, right? They want to take it over and they want to terraform it properly because you're kind of ruining your planet. That's kind of the idea. So this is the largest map you can make on a Raspberry Pi Zero, just so you know. 78,000 stars. I would like people who have Raspberry Pis to please test the performance of the game on Raspberry Pi. That's very important to me. So to go the other way, I'm not going to actually start this game because it'll probably take a few minutes, but I just want to show you if I start the game up with 16 gigs of memory, because I have a 16 gigs of memory on this laptop. I'm not going to start this game because it'll take too long, but I just want to give you an idea of how big of a map. And I've done this before. It takes about 5 minutes to start it. Let's go to like a circular map. So insane is 10,000 stars. That is insane. Ludicrous is 100,000 fixed. And maximum is just whatever your system can handle. So with 16 gigs of memory, he'll create a galaxy of 4.3 million stars. Why would you want to do that? I do it for a reason. I do it to test memory. And because I've done all that work, which seems kind of ridiculous sometimes, the game is actually so much faster, right? It created like 70,000 stars in just a few seconds, and on a Raspberry Pi Zero, so that's like the net result of all the performance work I've done. So I think that's everything I want to go over. I hope I haven't missed anything. I've talked for a really long time. This might be the longest video I've done. Please, if you're interested in following the game more closely, go check Twitter, check YouTube, check out the blog, check out the subreddit, whatever medium is most appropriate to you. The whole purpose of this game, I'm not making any money. I'm not going to sell it. I love the original Master of Orion, and I feel like that's a great game that's kind of that's being forgotten. So what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to modernize the game, and I want to make it available to as many people as possible. So it's important for me that it runs on just about any PC, half a gig. And of course, we're going to be doing a lot of translation work in the game. In fact, I should have shown you this. I'm so sorry. Give you an idea. We're eventually going to be doing a lot of translation work so that the game is available in a lot of different languages. So for example, there's this language English here right now. Polish is in work. I've got some visual glitches I got to work on. But if you want to play the game in Polish, only the new screens have been converted, right? He's waiting for the screens to be converted to do all of them. But this will be a good example here. This is going to be done very soon. So you can see this is already all in Polish. All these things here are Polish. We go to the colony screen. I guess he hasn't done that one yet. My bad. But it's in work. It's not finished. But as you can see, I'm really making an attempt. I want this game to be as available to as many people as possible for as cheaply as possible. And so that's why, if you think that's a great idea and you want to kind of help spread the word and find all these lost Mu 1 fans that are probably waiting for this game to come out, a remade version of that game, then let them know. That's all I got to say. Thanks for watching, and keep your eye on the blog or the Twitter feed, and eventually there will be a link, probably within the next day, on where to download the jar. Thanks. Bye.